Today we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve problems from 3D figures. If you look at the note sheet, you can see a couple of diagonals. But what we're ultimately trying to find is a diagonal. So if you have a prism that goes from the very top corner to the diagonal corner. So it's like that. Okay, so it goes diagonally through that box. So that's what we're trying to find. So we have two-dimensional shapes. Those are all flat, or three-dimensional. They have height, width, and depth. So here's zero-dimensional, it's the dot. One-dimensional, two-dimensional, and then, of course, 3D. I'm not going to do this one, I'm just going to explain. And then we're going to do the next one together. So when you have a 3D and you're finding this diagonal, which is this R, there's going to be actually two problems you have to solve. So every three-dimensional prism that you have the diagonal from the top corner to the bottom corner across the whole prism, you have two problems to solve. Because if I need to find this, where is my right angle? It's right here. So what is this dimension? 6. And then this bottom, what is that one? It's not 20, because 20 is this, and this goes diagonally across the bottom base. I don't know that. So I have to find what this is first before I can solve this. So if I want to find this diagonal, then I look at this right triangle. So here's my right angle right there. And that's on the floor of that prism. This length is what? The same as this. So that's 6. They give us this at 20. And then I can find that. So I'm going to find S. And then once I find S, I substitute it into the next one, and I use it to help me find R. Okay, so we got two problems. But in the first problem's kind of like cut short, and then you just substitute it in. So you have this one on your note sheet. So you need to be pretty organized. So right next to that shape, you're gonna be doing two problems. So I want you to write c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So the first thing we have to do is find this diagonal that is going along the floor. So I have this side and this side. So here's A equals, and what's this length right here? 10. It's the same as this upper one, right? So this is 10. That's B equals. So go ahead and substitute 40 squared and 10 squared into your formula. So 40 squared plus 10 squared, that's c squared, equals. So 40 squared is 1600 plus 100. So c squared equals 1700. Now, I'm going to leave it like that. I am not going to take the square root. So now, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So now we are going to find oh my goodness. Now we're going to find this other diagonal. But this, what does side S now become to this triangle right here? What does side S become? Like side A or B? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 1700 and I'm going to substitute it in for a squared. This number is already squared, so do not put a squared sign there. It's already squared because that's c squared. So the square of this number, this is already squared. And I'm going to add, what's this side right here? 20. It's the same right here. So I'm going to put 20, but that's not squared, so I need it squared. Now I have 1700 plus 400. C squared equals what? 2100. Now I'm going to take the square root. After you completed the second problem, now you can factor. No calculators. All of them, you're going to leave your answer in simple radical form. Let's factor 2100. So what times what is 21? Yes. 3 times 7. So I'm just going to add a 0 to both of those, because 30 times 70 is 2100. And then what times what is 30? 3 times 10. 3 is prime. Writing this down. Everyone should be writing this down. And then 2 times 5, or 10. So that's from 30. Now let's do 70. What times what is 70? 7 times 10. And then 10 is 2 times 5. C equals, and I'm going to put all my circled factors, but I'm going to group like ones together. So 2 times 2, let's get rid of that and that. 5 times 5, get rid of that and that. And then 3 and 7, times 3 times 7. C equals, here are my like terms, or my equal factors, 2 equal factors. Take one out, get rid of one. Here are my 2 equal factors. Take one out, get rid of one. What's left inside? What's left inside is 3 times 7, 21, and I'm going to multiply 2 times 5 and put it on the outside. C equals 10 times the square root of 21. That's how I'm going to leave my answer. Now, if I look at this, because, remember we want to make sense of what this actually is. A box is used for shipping a volleyball set measuring 10 inches by 20 inches by 40 inches. So that's the size of the box. What is the longest length of the pole that will fit into the box? Now, the longest length of the pole is going to be 10 times the square root of 21. So if I really want to know what that is, what is the square root of 21? It comes in between what and what? 16 and 25. So square root of 21 is about 4 point something. 4 point something times 10 is 40 point something. So my pole for this volleyball set can be 40 point something inches. You know, if I want to just get a little estimate, it can be longer than 40 because it's on the diagonal. Okay, so that's just to make sense of that. But this is where you stop for your answer. The next one, I'm going to get rid of all this. So we have to order a replacement part for a desk, and it's shipped in this box, 14 by 4 by 4. So what's the greatest length of the replacement part? Let's write it up. We're going to write c squared equals a squared plus b squared. The first thing I want to do is find this s. So I want you to substitute in the numbers you think go with finding s. You should have put in 14 squared plus 4 squared. Did you have that? All right, let's figure out c squared. 14 squared is what? 196 plus 16. C squared equals, what's 196 plus 16? 212. Am I going to do anything with this number? No, I'm going to keep it in that form. Now I'm going to write my next problem up. So now I'm going to find R. Here's my right triangle that I'm going to use. I already know what S is, and it's already squared. So I'm going to just substitute it right here for A. What is B? What's this other side right here? It's the same as over here. So 4 squared. That side still needs to be squared. So C squared equals 212 plus 16. So what does C squared equal? 228. Now we're going to take the square root. We're going to factor 228. So I can divide by 2, so that would be 114. Divide by 2. Finish it off. Finish off the factoring. And see what you get for your answer. All right. What's half of 114? 57. Can 57 be factored? Yes, I can still divide by 3. 3 times what? 19. 19 can't be factored. I have 2 times 2 times 3 times 19. You can also put 57 right here because, you know, those don't have equal factors. Or you can just wait. C equals, here's 2 equal factors. I take one out, get rid of the other one. What's left inside? 3 times 19 is 57. There's your answer. Not too bad, right? So this one I want you to try on your own. A B is in a box shaped like as a rectangular prism. The box measures 10 inches by 8 inches by 20 inches. The bee flies from one corner of the box to the other that is furthest away. How far does the bee fly? Remember, when you are solving, you're always going to solve both problems for c squared. 20 squared plus, and then I need to find this side. This side is the same as this, 8 squared. 400 plus 64, c squared equals 464. How many of you had that? Okay, most of you, good. So this just goes in for what? A squared. Could go in for B squared. But do not, just because it's C squared, don't substitute it in for C squared. Because remember, this diagonal now becomes like side A or B for your new triangle. And what is this? This is what length? 10. 10 squared. So 464 plus 100. C squared is 564. I'm going to take the square root. Factor it. What can you divide? Come on, little board. What can you divide 564 by? 2. Then it becomes what? 282. And then you can divide by 2. And what does it become? You can divide by 3. And what does it become? 47? Can you divide this one? No, I don't think so. So this would be, you can? No. Not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're just going to leave it like that. So this would be C equals 2 times 2 times 3 times 47. So C equals, I'm going to take the 2 out, get rid of 1. 2 times the square root of 141. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Look at the next one on the back. So we're going to do this one and one more. So we're going to do this one together, and then you're going to do the next one on your own. What is the length of diagonal D of a cube that is 10 inches on each side? So a cube is the same dimension. So I have 10 on the length, the width, and the height. So it's 10 inches. Now, they drew the diagonal, but they didn't draw the other one. So you need to find this one first. So C squared equals A squared plus B squared. C squared equals, what's my 2 lengths? 10 squared plus 10 squared. C squared equals 100 plus 100. So C squared equals 200. So now when you have a cube, all your dimensions are going to be the same. So we're going to substitute that back in so we can find my diagonal that they're asking for, the diagonal D. So 200 plus, what's the other dimension? What's this one? 10 squared, right? They're always going to be 10. So C squared equals 200 plus 100. So now we're going to take the square root. C is, and then we're going to factor 300. So go ahead and factor it. I think you guys need more practice on factoring. 2 times 150, and then 2 times 75, and then 3 and 25, and then 5 and 5. 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 5. So C equals, here's my 2 equal factors. Take 1 out, get rid of 1. Here's 2 equal factors. Take 1 out, get rid of 1. So 2 times 5 is 10, and then what's left is square root of 3. 10 times the square root of 3 is your answer. Not too bad, right? Okay, last one. Last one, except what's my dimension? 4 inches. It's a cube, 4 inches. So last one, let's go. A squared plus B squared. The dimensions are 4, 4, and 4. So I have 4 squared plus 4 squared. C squared equals 16 plus 16. C squared equals 32. There, you're supposed to leave it up at the front of the row. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in for A squared, and I'm going to add 4 squared. So C squared equals 32 plus 16. Do not put that homework away. C squared equals 48. So when I take the square root, C equals 2 times 24, 2 times 12, and 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, right? Okay, so here's equal factors. I'm going to take out a 2, get rid of 1, take out a 2, get rid of 1. 2 times 2 is 4 times the square root of 3. All right. Ready? Hey, Austin! This is for you! So, on number 3, cross out and round to the nearest hundredth with a calculator. You're not going to use a calculator. You're going to leave it in radical form, simplified radical form. Turn it over. On number 8, on the first line, it says a tree was struck by lightning, broke at a point 12 feet. Cross off 12 and put 15. Your description should match your picture at 15 feet. Okay, the first line. Cross off 12, put 15. That's it.